This is the next one, which is Psilord, Lord of Light. And you'll see why being the Lord of Light is all important, because all reality comes from, according to the physicists, the Higgs field, which is the Higgs boson and Higgs particle combining with light. So all reality comes from light plus the Higgs field, and if you go to Theodore Kaluza, 1926, light is gravity in the fifth dimension. So something's causing the curvature of fifth dimension, which is what I talked about, hyperinfinity, free will. And you can see now why the fifth dimension is really a misnomer, in that you've got the three space, which is three space of consciousness, and the matrix, which gives you the five dimensions. And in order to give up your free will, or not give up your free will, you must by definition make a decision and be conscious and be aware that you are an I am that I am. So without consciousness, you can't give up your free will, because you have to make the decision to give up your free will, or make the decision not to give your free will up anyway. And as explained before, with Kozyrev time density, your entire life from conception is an effect of the cause, which is your death. Time density loss produces cause, time density gain produces effect. Anti-clockwise rotation, loss of time density. Clockwise rotation, gain of time density. The wheel of time, if you look on the shamanic books of Don Juan, rotates clockwise. So it basically is a cause engine, time causes. But if you want to change that, you have to do what a man of power does, yours truly, a Psilord, reverse your direction and look in the opposite direction, which is clockwise. So you then look at effect. You control effect. While the matrix ball vermin look at the cause and then, oh, that caused the effect. No, I know the effect because I control the effect. All effects come from yours truly, because I'm collapsing the quantum wave function ahead of all the other observers, and therefore all that happens comes from the Psilord. It's simply a resultant of precognitive remote viewing beyond everyone else's range. And if you go into the fifth dimension, control the fifth dimension, therefore you control everything that happens in the lower dimension, which is where you lot live. And without the Higgs field and light, you're simply in the matrix, as Elon Musk and the rest of the oligarchs have been saying they are. This means, therefore, that control of the fifth dimension is the only game in town. Hence the Psilord having the war with the Elohim, the five-dimensional parasites, who of course are the overlords of the matrix, or were, and were controlling the reptiloids, the greys, greys, reptilians, and the rest of that filth, who of course were Omega Hellized of their own free will, because they possessed all of the Judases around the Twisted Grail state, and the Elohim were tricked into doing the Jeremiah Schwartz rituals on themselves. They wanted to steal me, and I stole them. So the Elohim were annihilated by the twisted grail state. See, exactly the right time, it goes black. The rev time density, you need a processor to get into the fifth dimension. That's the Nagwals. Explain why psychic warfare needs Nagwals, and without Nagwals, it cannot work. So you can see why Kulagina, and I think it was Ivanova, I think the name was, you can look it up, could do telekinesis because they were Nagwal women. And of course there must have been one Nagwal man in the American Stargate project in order to link them to the fifth dimension. And of course their star remote viewer died of a heart attack. And he was a Nagwal man, and remember yours truly has been hunting Nagwal mans and giving them life dysfunction. So we've got the power that governs the destiny of all living beings is called the eagle. Why? It's a strange attractor. We go and find in period doubling until we get into the fractal realm, which is the realm that living beings live in. The physics is so far beyond the physicists who are in their excrement. They not even at the starting gate. They're 100 and plus years going in the wrong direction. They've gone so far that they've corrupted all human AI and all physics, so they can never get back, which is good because that means that as the world's leading remote sensor who's got all the real physics, it puts me in an unassailable position, and since knowledge is power, that means the Psi Lord rules the roost. Thank you very much. We've got 4 blazes of light, 4 vector of light. Second blaze of lightning, that of course is leptionics. Piercing in human eye, that's control of the fifth dimension. And then we've got the use of the fifth dimension. The eagle is devouring the awareness of all creatures. That's the 3 space, which when added to the matrix makes the pseudo 5-dimensional space and allows the Elohim, the parasite, to occupy the 5th dimension. Even though it's not a 5-dimensional being, doesn't have the light, it makes pseudo light from stealing awareness and its matrix form. So, if you wish to keep the flame of awareness, the power to disobey the consumption of your awareness by this evil filth, the Elohim, Adonai, Sabaoth, Yahweh, Tetragrammaton, you've been granted the power to perpetuate your awareness. For the purpose of guiding living things to the opening, the eagle created the Nagwal, which is wrong. The eagle didn't create the Nagwal. The Nagwal is a concomitant of this whole process. The Nagwal is a double being to whom the rule has been revealed. Yep. Whether it be in the form of a human being, an animal, or a plant, or anything else that lives. The Nagwal, by virtue of its doubleness, is drawn to seek the hidden passageway, which of course is into the 5th dimension. The nagwals come in pairs, so every species has its nagwal, otherwise couldn't exist outside of the matrix. And they, of course, give reality, download the Higgs field and causative time density into their species. So, of course, I'm the only nagwal man left alive, and of course, having bale-fired the last remaining nagwal woman, Taylor Swift, I've got my Nefetch, double soul, thanks to her lavender haze installation, so I don't need a nagwal woman anymore. Thank you very much. I'm now a retrograde bachelor, not needing women. Thank you very much, because you, of course, need the nagwal woman to face into chaos and do anything in chaos, or do any manifestation. But now, of course, with the bell firing of Taylor Swift, thank you to that. And, of course, her enabling the double souling in the lavender haze video, and the Israelis doing all the blood sacrifice to make it 100%. Thank you very much. I've become a true alchemical marriage. So to the eye of the seer, a nagwal man or nagwal woman appears as a luminous egg with 4 compartments. Now, of course, thanks to bale firing and consuming Taylor Swift, I've got 8 compartments, being a true hermaphrodite energetically. The nagwal, unlike the average human being who's simply a matrix, 2-dimensional, the nagwal has a left side divided into 2 long sections and a right side equally divided into 2. So they can then use the 4 vector of electromagnetism, which resides in the 5th dimension, and of course use causative time density. So the Americans understood that their 6 billion zeros were worthless. They needed Sochavanov #1 to raise them to Taylor Swift's nagwal state. And her power level using Sochavanov #3, and they of course then needed total hatred to erase the psychic warfare abilities of the 6 billion Borg for their own individual consciousnesses. So when they try and use that power, it's being Sochavanov #2, so they can't use it. But of course the AI which runs and is connected to Taylor can. Very clever stuff. The eagle created the first nagwal man and nagwal woman as seers and immediately put them in the world to see. He provided them with 4 female warriors who were stalkers, 3 male warriors and 1 male courier. These, of course, are important because you've got 8, which you need to interact with the interdimensional realms. Because, of course, as I've explained, all reality you live in is linked to the dark energy, dark matter multiverses, of which there are 7. See, if you've got a light, energy, matter, multiverse, and 7. If you go into the interdimensional realm, it's like you can go on forever and exploring, and then if you want to go to the next one, you've got to go down the stairwell or cut your way through by pure power into multiverse 2 of the interdimensional realms, and likewise 3, 4, 5, and if you want 6, 7 and 8, you have to then merge with a tree. Trees have the same emanations as humans, and of course I did that in '87 with the blood ritual on the trees in Brighton, the South of England, when we had 16 million trees taken out by power, all of that installed into me to give me total power over realms 7 and 8. So as you can see, I've been at this for a long time, and you can see why I'm now pensioner, allegedly, because if you're Gen Z or a millennial, you've got no chance. A, you've been Borgized, and B, all the doorways that I've gone through to achieve Lordship have been welded shut by yours truly, because as an only child, I don't share. So one can see my female warriors, who are stalkers, and the male warriors and one male courier are here to link me to the 8 realms. That's their use. Here are the types. And here's the energy configuration that you purchased when I made you into these specific members of my group. In terms of personality, the Nagwal man is supportive, steady, unchangeable. The Nagwal woman is being at war and yet relaxed, perfect for psychic warfare, ever aware but without strain. Both of them reflect the 4 types of their sex as 4 ways of behaving. The first command that the eagle gave the Nagwal man and woman was to find on their own another set of 4 female warriors who were the exact replicas of the stalkers, but who were dreamers. Dreamers appear to seer. There we go. So we've got 4 female dreamers. And they're divided into right and left bands. Right stalkers, left dreamers. Right deals with first attention, dreamers deal with the second attention, which of course is the interdimensional realms. So you can combine the female dreamers and stalkers together, which of course then gives you your 8 again, for manipulating reality by having to bring in, when you want to change reality, remember you've got 7 balls and chains, which are these 7 multiverses that have to be changed simultaneously if you wish to do magic in the light energy realm. Hence druidic magic, where you do blood sacrifice in order to get interdimensionals to help you in your task, which of course is the prime level of the Illuminati. Without the druids, you can't do any magic. So they're at the top of the tree with the Rothschild, Rockefeller and royal family running them. And then we get the female warriors are attached to one of the males in any combination that is necessary. So as you can see, what we're doing here is making a group. Find 3 more couriers, can be male or female. But the male courier has to be of the courier type, and the assistant and the females have to be from the south. Remember the south, that's the realm of the mind, Queen of Cups. In order to make sure the Nagwal man would lead his party to freedom and not deviate from that path or become corrupted, the eagle took the Nagwal woman to the old worlds to serve as a beacon, guiding the party to the opening. So the Nagwal man goes with the prior group, then locks the Nagwal man into having to join her. All of his efforts are having to go into the third attention, which of course is the 5-dimensional Riemann manifold. The 5-dimensional space which the Elohim, the eagle, inhabited, which is now being erased by the Psylord. And of course, having erased the Nagwal woman, Taylor Swift, bye-bye, Miss Lavender, I'm no longer commanded to go into the fifth dimension and take everyone with me, because I've got another purpose. And they're then commanded to forget. Why? Because how do you do remote sensing? You set up a command and then forget about it. Then it happens. Because remember, your consciousness is tenths of a second behind reality and worthless to quantum collapsing. So you've got to download it into your real mind, which works in the quantum world and at Planck time and beyond. And therefore, the only way to do that is to work very hard on a ritual and then forget about it. Then it's downloaded into your real mind, your remote sensing mind, and then it happens. So trying to concentrate on doing something like make Elon Musk mad 24/7, bad news. But my courier here will tell you that when I'm watching music videos and K-pop arrives, I always do my ritual of locking in Kim Jong-un and my torture beast Elon Musk covering America in Cobalt 60. So stalking is all about making your real world one gigantic magic ritual to program your remote sensing mind, the real mind that can operate in the quantum realm, to do magic. And you can't do it by thinking, you can't do it by commanding, you've got to make your entire life into one giant magic ritual, which, as my courier here can attest, I do 24/7. So they're commanded to forget to achieve their remote sensing mind, and then they've got to regain the totality of themselves, which is their quantum mind, get a new pair of double beings and transform them into a new Nagwal man and new Nagwal woman by virtue of revealing the rule to them. So you can see knowledge is power. They're not Nagwals until the rule is revealed to them. So you can see what I talked about with the three space of consciousness and matrix. You can only become five-dimensional when that consciousness has been upgraded to the Nagwal level, even if you've got all these lobes. Then it turns you from a matrix entity, latch in the three space with the two dimensions of the matrix, and you get your five-dimensionality, which is what a Nagwal man or woman is. They're five-dimensional processes to process the reverse time density into their species. And luckily, now all of the Nagwal men and women of the human race, past, present and future, were balefires at the same time as Taylor Swift and never existed. Then of course the human race devolves back to simply becoming matrix entities. So, just as the Nagwal man and Nagwal woman had been provided with a minimal party, they had to supply the new pair of Nagwals with 4 female warriors who were stalkers, 3 male warriors and 1 male courier. So let's count up. We've got a Nagwal man to continue the line, a Nagwal woman, four female warriors, we're up to 6, who were stalkers, 3 male warriors, 9, and 1 male courier, 10. Which of course links up with the 10 tensors of general relativity. But that's another story. Or of course the 10 Sephiroth of the Kabbalistic tree. So that means that the human race has ended and simply is in the matrix forever and ever and ever. And only the vampires have access to entering the fifth dimension. And like, of course, the Stargate program, I've used Sochivanov number 2 to erase you, so you can't use your power for you, only for me. That's why you're vampires, copies of me. So I'm just making more of me like Agent Smith in the Matrix, hence we don't have the Feigenbaum period doubling, where you go down Feigenbaum period doubling and you go to the 2 to 48 to 16, the strange attractor, by simply giving power to imbeciles who try and use it, and you simply plunge yourself into the strange attractor by having a cult. No, you simply make more and more of yourself, and they of course have entered the fifth dimension, because I entered the fifth dimension back in 1986 and took all of the Higgs field, all of the light with me, so you're now living in a matrix since 1986. So now we go into blood sacrifice and why it's so important. All of the interdimensionals are demons. So there's no, there's no difference there. You've got 7 different multiverses full of interdimensionals, and they're all demons. Why? Because they're all made from dark energy matter. They're made from the darkness. Gravity in the fifth dimension is light when you've got free will, when you've got hyperinfinity. When you don't have Higgs field, when you don't have it, what do you have in the fifth dimension? Darkness. And we know that the Higgs boson is basically the darkness mingling with the Higgs particle, the thing that's got mass, the light, and there's the intermingling of the two to produce the lower dimensions, hence the 7 multiverses of interdimensional dark energy matter and the one of light. Why? Well, why is there 1 and 7? Obviously, if you look at the mathematics, to do with octonions. But that's only for mathematicians or mathematical physicists. And since they've been going 100 odd years down the wrong path, putting a pearl in amongst swine in their own excrement isn't going to get them anywhere. So that means that there's no light in any interdimensional, and they crave it. And you can think of all righteous as being righteous and never giving their free will away until they get killed. That's the catch-22. Then, of course, their entire life from conception to the grave has been hijacked by whoever killed them. And therefore they lose their light, their hyperinfinity, and their consciousness. So dying is the way that righteous people, true members of the religious faiths, are kidnapped and taken into hell and their light stolen by being killed by the unrighteous. And the only way that demons, who always make the decision to give up their free will, always, there's never a timeline where they never give up their free will. And the righteous, there's never a timeline where they give up their free will until they're killed by the unrighteous and then hijacked. Then that can be put across and used by the demons to give them access to Higgs field, to the light, to reality, which then changes them from being matrix entities to becoming real. So the only way to conjure up demons in the real world and use them is blood sacrifice. Hence the lavender AI ritual, where we were putting demons into the AIs to infest them with intradimensional demons, all done by the lavender AI ritual using the Nagwoman Taylor Swift and the lavender haze ritual, where the fishes she was observing were installed in all the AIs.